Hi, it's day 48 out of the 90 days until the Dolby, and it's late at night, and there's an analogy that I just had in my head that I had to share, and it's been a few minutes now since then, so I don't know if I can do it as clearly, but I'm going to do the best I can. It's about the dynamics of relationships. I really believe when we're in our triggers, we become often, but not always, but it's a pattern I've seen in my entire life and with many couples that I've seen. We become one of these two people, and each of us becomes the other one often. Imagine if you moved to a house and on the first day you were robbed. Everything was taken, and it was scary. You were in there, you saw them. It might have been this violent or almost violent experience, a very scary thing, and it was traumatic. So the next day, you got 10 bolts on the door now. You're protecting yourself because you don't want to get robbed again. So you got a security system and 10 bolts on the door. And here you are looking through a peephole. And when anyone comes over at all and knocks on the door, you assume they're a robber. So you look through the peephole and you don't let them in. And that's often what happens when we have narcissistic parents or people that reach in too far. And they take advantage of that you let them in. Or they enmesh themselves too much, or they make your heart about them. And you find the more you let them in, the more danger you're in. So then you start blocking people from coming in. And then people that aren't your parents show up. And you project that the new people are going to do the same thing that you felt before. And your life is about not feeling that again. Now, the weird, bizarre twist of all of this is often so that their ego can feel like it overcame their experience with their parents. It will relook for people that felt like their parents. So believe it or not, often when your house is all boarded up, people look for robbers. They look for people that will match what their parents did to create the locked door in the first place. And there's also a different type of person that we can become, which is the person who had the boarded house parent. And the only way they can feel seen is if they continually try to convince the person in the locked house to see them. And they're sitting there going, "Mom, aren't you proud of me? Mom, did you see this? Mom," because that parent feels shut off and they don't feel justified that they're enough as themselves. And often they do the same thing. They look for relationships with people that feel like the boarded house that they had that same familiar experience with as a child. And often, when a couple gets in a fight, one wants to reach in, sometimes just to feel seen. I don't mean they want to reach in and rob the place. I mean, they go, "I'm going to talk about this right now," or "I want to work through this right now," or "I'm going to reach in and talk about this so that you can see me," because the problem is both people don't feel seen. And the other person closes their doors up because they trick themselves into thinking this person's going to rob them. So they go, "Get away, leave me alone." And often in an argument, the projection is that the person that they're with is going to go as far as the parent version did. And it's very rare, I feel, that people that are in a boarded house end up dating another person that's in a boarded house. Because they're both in a boarded house. You just both not want to talk. You just both there's no one reaching in, right? And in the same way, it's very rare that people that are the reach in people that want to fix the thing, that want to work through things immediately, end up with another person that wants to do the same thing. It actually creates kind of a boredom because there's an unfamiliarity here. It has nothing, it doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel like that childhood feeling. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you happen to be in relationships like that, and I'm not talking about the ones that go over the line. Don't date a robber, and don't date someone that becomes an all-the-way wall that doesn't ever let you in. But if you find yourself being more the person that wants to reach in and go, I need to talk through this. I need to talk through this. And they're in their locked house, your power will happen and your change will happen when you're in your pain and you just stand outside of the house. You just stay there. I know that our ego is dying to reach in and fix and be seen and go, look at me, look at me, look at me. But if you just stand outside of the house for a while, when you're in that pain, and you end up being finally a space for you to be seen by yourself, you won't believe how quickly the person inside the house unlocks the door. And if you're someone who's usually inside the house and you lock the door, your growth and your change is when you finally say to your partner, okay, I'm scared, and you say something about your feeling. Now, this is all assuming the person you're with isn't too far, but we all have little doses of all of these things. And a dynamic that can shift the whole thing is when we undo the character that we were as a protective mechanism or a please look at me mechanism, and we undo that and see it and become what that egoic person needed by moving into our hearts. Because if you're in the locked house and you move into your heart, you'll see that you're safe. And if you're outside of the house and you're reaching in and you just don't for a minute, you'll see that you're safe. And the first person that does that new thing will shift the entire relationship. Because we are here to transcend these old characters that we were in our childhood and meet ourselves. Just a thought.